Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. This meeting is being conducted in compliance with the Open Meetings Act. The Verona Board of Education passed a resolution at its meeting held on December 13, 2016. The meeting set forth a schedule of its regular meetings, which resolution was within 7 days of passage. The schedule was sent to the Verona City York Times, the Star Ledger, the Herald News, Township of Verona, and the Verona Education Association. Postings of this meeting setting forth the time, location, and agenda were posted in each of Verona's 6 schools, the board office, and town hall. This posting was also sent to the above newspapers, all SCA presidents, and SCA liaisons. The Verona Board of Education operates under consent agenda format. Any board member has the right to have an item pulled to be voted upon or discussed separately. Copies of tonight's agenda and resolutions have been made available to the public present. Mr. Day?
Here.
Mrs. Bernardino? Here. Mr. Elliott?
Here.
Mrs. Fresky? Here. Mr. Quattrochi?
Here. Okay, welcome to our first meeting of October. Before we get into the agenda, do we have any public comment or question on any agenda? No? Okay, tonight we have 2 presentations. The first is Mr. Lancaster, the Assistant Principal of Verona High School, presenting our Student of the Month and Student and Staff Kindness.
Okay, good evening. Thank you very much for joining us for this special event. Each month our Student of the Month Committee meets to assess the students who have been nominated for Student of the Month and to make a decision for each grade level. Our committee consists of Dr. Meyer, Mrs. Sepsi, Mrs. Maka, Mr. Scott, and me. I'm going to speak about each Student of the Month for a moment, then ask that student to come up for a plaque, and then we'll go through the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade students. Afterward, we'll ask the whole group to come up for a photo, and at that point, we'll take time to give each family time to take a picture of the group. Our 9th grade student is Tawana Brown. Tawana has had a great first month of high school. Her classes include Honors English 1, Honors World History, Honors Biology, Financial Literacy, Spanish 1, Physical Education, and Algebra 1. Tawana had perfect attendance for the month of September. Tawana consistently demonstrates initiative and responsibility, 2 of our core values. Mrs. Ramos said Tawana works very hard. She volunteers consistently in class and works extremely well with others. A true example of what we want in all of our students. Tawana? Grade 10 Student of the Month is Jordan Warner. Jordan had a strong September and is off to an impressive start to the school year. Her classes include English 2, U.S. History 1, Honors Chemistry, Spanish 2, Driver's Education, Honors Geometry, Drawing, Painting, and Collage, and Choir. She arrives at school promptly each day prepared for success. Jordan consistently demonstrates diligence and respect, 2 of our core values. Mrs. Sherman said Jordan has displayed leadership qualities in helping me set up the Verona chapter of the National Art Honor Society this year. She is totally reliable, responsible, displays good judgment, is generous with her time, enthusiastic, and knows how and when to take initiative. Jordan? Our grade 11 Student of the Month is Ryan McEwen. Ryan is off to a strong start in all of his classes. This includes AP English, AP U.S. History, Honors Physics, Honors Chemistry, Spanish 4 Honors, Physical Education, Honors Pre-Calculus, Band, and Chamber Choir. Ryan had perfect attendance for the month of September. He consistently demonstrates collaboration and responsibility, 2 of our core values. Dr. Meyer said Ryan is genial and insightful. He is a leader in class discussions and makes every class more pleasant. Ryan? K-12 Student of the Month is Margarita Kusulo. Margarita had a strong September. Her classes include English 4, Journalism 2, AP Psychology, AP Biology, Physical Education, AP French, and AP Calculus. Margarita arrives to school promptly each day, prepared for success. She consistently demonstrates diligence and responsibility, two of our core values. Mr. Wirtz said, "It has been a pleasure to have Margarita Kusulo as an AP Calculus BC student this year. She has been a model student. She completes her homework and classwork diligently, asks thought-provoking questions during class discussions, and exhibits an uncommon enthusiasm for learning. As she has progressed from her freshman year to her senior year, she has challenged herself at each turn in her academic path. She serves as an exemplary role model for the young men and women who aspire to follow in her footsteps." Margarita? If we could have all the students of the month come up and have a group photo, please. So this year we started something new, and we're giving out kindness awards. This was started by one of our teachers who made the suggestion that we acknowledge acts of kindness in Verona High School. Mrs. Della Fortuna, who's with us tonight, who made the suggestion, thought this idea offered us a wonderful opportunity to continue to build upon the success of our environment and maintain our commitment to each and every student. We sought student nominees from our faculty, and we have a team of teachers who went through the nominees and made the selection. Mr. Lynch and Ms. Della Fortuna will honor the two student recipients this evening, and our student council has made the decision about the staff recipient of the Kindness Award. So each month our student council will, on their own, determine who should receive this award for kindness, which staff member, faculty, staff should receive the award, and they'll send one student here each month to present at the ceremony. Tonight, Philip Chivalry is going to present the Staff Kindness Award. So it's my pleasure to introduce Ms. Della Fortuna.
So thank you very much for allowing us to come to the board meeting and present these awards. I think it's really important to our community, so I appreciate it. I have the honor of presenting Marion Salib with the Kindness Award for September. She's a sophomore at Verona High School. I have the pleasure of having Marion both in geometry and algebra 2, and she demonstrates kindness not only to staff but to peers in the classroom. Her smile and positive attitude is contagious, and her small acts of kindness that she does on a daily basis really inspires myself and the other people in the room to help each other and build a nice classroom community. Whether she's helping me around the classroom or helping her fellow teacher or her fellow students with math problems, she's a wonderful individual, and it's a pleasure to honor her. I'm so proud to announce her as one of the September Kindness Award recipients. I'm going to now ask Mr. Eric Lynch to come up and speak on behalf of the next recipient.
Good evening. When I reflect on my philosophy of education, this young woman encapsulates everything I believe in. She focuses on the journey, not the destination. She takes the road less traveled, and I would posit ever traveled. She undoubtedly values the process over the product. She'll always make the decision that's closest to her heart, even when it's not the easiest. She's an artist in every sense of the word, from her lush sounds on the clarinet, to her soulful strutting on the guitar, to her impeccable and meticulous mosaics. She's a scholar and thrives in the reflective, organic, and mindful place we call the Academy. But most importantly, she is Kitty, K-I-T-T-Y, kind, integral, transforming those around her, touching the people lucky enough to know her, and yearning to make our world a better place to be. It's Kitty Bono.
Tonight, I'm here to talk about one of the best teachers at Verona High School, Mr. Tamburo. Mr. Tamburo is receiving the Staff Kindness Award tonight, and is quite deserving of it for the following reasons. Mr. Tamburo has some of the most entertaining and informative classes in the school. Whether a student is taking AP United States History for the first year, AP United States Government and Politics, Constitutional Law, or Criminal Justice and Law, Mr. Tamburo blends together the traditional lecture with student participation to make every class lively and exciting. Mr. Tamburo is always open for his students if they need help with course material or if they just want to talk. He takes time out of his busy schedule to show up to school before 7:30, spending his time hearing the learning comments in case students need help. He will also spend time after school for students studying or reviewing a rough draft of a paper or essay. I remember for my rough draft, for my research paper, he spent nearly an hour after school one day to review it with me, when he could have been just as easily grading tests or answering emails. Along with taking time to help students study after and before school, he's involved in many extracurricular activities. Mr. Tamburo is the counselor of multiple clubs, such as Mock Trial, Euro Challenge, Star Club, the Debating Club, and the Stock Market Club. His dedication to the clubs shows that not only do the students in them have fun, but they go on to win awards and achievements. Every year, Mock Trial consistently makes it far into competitions and oftentimes wins. Last year's Euro Challenge, one of the best in the state, Mr. Tamburo clearly exceeds beyond expectation managing these clubs. Outside of school, he's an active member of the Rescue Squad, Historical Society, and is currently completing his PhD. Lastly, Mr. Tamburo teaches one of the most important curriculum in the school, the humanities. He teaches what many students and adults categorize as outdated or antiquated in such a phenomenal manner that many students learn more from his classes than they might learn from any other teacher in the school. History education is fundamentally important. He expects his students to work hard and excel, and gets results from every test, quiz, project, and paper. Every time he starts a class, he shows why history and the other subjects that encompass the humanities are vitally important. For these reasons, I believe that Mr. Tamburo is more than deserving for the Staff Kindness Award for his dedication, openness to students, and his passion for the humanities.
We just take a group photo with all the recipients of the Kindness Award, please.
Yeah, it's only separate than all the other ones because they're mine. Oh, just the addendum. Well, share it. Just hire it. It's higher. But there's no other. Except on this side. Yeah, there was. I can get you the another picture of
Okay, we'll go to our second presentation tonight, and that's Dr. Dionisio presenting our annual board goals and update.
Good evening, everyone. It's that time of the year again. Traditionally, we actually, in the past years, previous years, we've actually done this presentation in the summer. So we shifted it a little bit to do it during the school year, hoping for a little bit of a larger audience to be able to hear it. But at least it's during the school year, so I'm not going to take it personally. They watch it at home. I know. So here we go. So everyone here in the room, at least on the board's end, understands and knows that we have 6 strategies, part of our strategic plan that guides what we do here in the district. And we're actually in the final year of our strategic plan, which concludes in June 2018. So we are actually going to begin the process this year of engaging the Board of Education and community input in order to revise the 6 strategies if necessary and where appropriate once we receive that feedback. But the 6 strategies are focused on, number 1, around our budget and finances. Number 2, around a respectful school culture, consistent with the core values identified in our strategic plan. The 3rd strategy is centered around opportunities both locally and globally for our school community, in particular for our students. Number 4 is to engage in rigorous coursework and curriculum and authentic experiences. Number 5 is structured around professional learning for our faculty and staff in order to continue to support their professional growth so that way they can best meet the needs of our students. And the 6th strategy is centered around buildings and grounds, our facilities, to make sure that we keep moving forward, and with a combination of funding and resources, we're able to continue to improve our facilities for our staff, our students, and our community. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through all 6 strategies and just give a little bit of an overview as to some of the highlights of the things that we did last year. So this will encapsulate, summarize what we did in the 16-17 school year as a collective effort of the support of our Board of Education, the administrative team, our faculty and staff, and all of the hard work that they did, and the support of our students and our community members in order to accomplish these goals. And these will change and vary from year to year. So the first one that we have, which I will say is pretty consistent over the past several years, centers around our finances and really working very closely with Ms. Nardino, who's done an outstanding job of supporting both each and every year with a 2% cap. And we've looked as a team and with the Board of Education at creative ways in order to stretch the dollar and staying within that 2% cap. Combination of incorporating financing options for specific programs, having budget meetings with our administrative team, and really taking a good hard look at what we're doing and what the needs are and what the wants are and how to prioritize. We're also very fortunate to have the support of two major organizations in our town. The first one is our SCA, and I'll include the conference SCA in that category, around fundraising and support to support programs in all of our schools. As far as the conference SCA goes, 3 years ago, they started the Harlem Wizards fundraiser. Each year that raises at least $10,000 that comes back to our schools. And as everyone knows, we just recently had this past Sunday, the conference SCA spearheaded the first annual food truck festival. And it was a wonderful turnout. I believe we had over 1,500 people in attendance in the first year. And it appears that the SCA may have raised, and they're still finalizing the numbers, but somewhere between $10,000 to $15,000 for that fundraiser. And that was really the support of all of our schools and the parents who really helped us make that happen. So a big thank you to them for that. On the front of our second strategy, fostering a healthy and respectful school culture, we did much work the past 3 years with the climate survey, and that's a continuous process, obtaining feedback from the community. Last year, our administrative team did a presentation, a public presentation here in the Board of Education meeting, in order to give an update as to what each of our schools are doing with the feedback received from the climate survey towards the continuous improvement cycle to help support moving our schools forward. Conflict resolution and peer mediation continues to be a very strong program in our elementary schools to help teach our children how to effectively resolve conflict and how to mediate those issues between each other. And it's been so successful that we are now moving that into the 5th grade of HBW this year. And we're going to be providing support for our 5th grade teachers in an effort to continue moving the conflict resolution and peer mediation program into our middle school. Our action committees began last year. We have 2 very important committees that is comprised of Board of Education members, administration, teachers, faculty, community members, parents, and students. One committee is centered around code of conduct and respect, and the other action committee has been charged with looking at mental health and suicide prevention. And we're very proud of the progress we made in a very short amount of time. We've heard a lot of different great ideas. We've acted on a number of those, and we have information that we shared with the community. It's up on our district website. So if people wanted to take a look at that, they could see it under the Health and Wellness tab. And there are many important resources there, and it also gives an idea of the things that we're already doing in the district and some of the initiatives that we're moving forward in order to continue to help improve the climate and culture for our children. The house model is in its 3rd year at HBW and going very well. It's in an effort to help foster communication, dialogue, and outreach to parents and to students in a very difficult time, the transition years between 5th grade and 8th grade, from the elementary to the high school. And our faculty advisory councils are committees at each school with representatives, teachers, and administration that allow for feedback from our faculty and from our administration to our faculty in regards to addressing any of the issues that they may be seeing at the grassroots level, so that way we can act on it sooner rather than later and be effective in what we're doing. The third strategy that we have is partnering locally and globally. We're very proud of the success of the VHS Capstone program. It started only a few years ago. In its first year, it had about 20 some odd students. In the second year, about 20 some odd students. Last year, incredible growth, where out of 150 seniors, 98 of them participated in the Capstone program, where from the middle of May until the end of June, for about 4 weeks, students were placed in what's called internship style programs, and every day they reported to work somewhere for no pay, but for the experience, so they could pursue their passions and to see if they really loved the field that they wanted to, dip their toe in the water. So we had students do all sorts of things, from helping support teachers in our schools if they were interested perhaps in becoming educators. We had other students who were taking rides into New York City every day in order to work in the finance industry. We had students working with graphic designers. We had students working with our township employees and Department of Public Works. We had students that were really covering many, many different fields, and it was a really wonderful experience. And as we move into this year's Verona Public Schools magazine, we already have actually one article that's been written about a number of our students' experiences. So 98 students out of 150 students makes up 66% of our senior class participated in Capstone, which is a tremendous accomplishment. And kudos and hats off to Mrs. Salisbury at the high school, who spearheads that program and has worked very hard in order to increase those opportunities for our students. And we encourage more students to take advantage of those opportunities next year. At both Lanning Avenue School and at HBW, we've developed sensory rooms in addition to the sensory garden that we had at Lanning Avenue School previously. And that could not have been done without the support of not only our district budget, but the support of community organizations, and specifically CHILD really helped support that initiative. And we expect that to be a really wonderful endeavor for our students who will really take advantage of it in those two settings. As far as our next strategy around curriculum instruction and assessment, the teaching and learning of everything that's going on, this is just a little bit of a snapshot. Certainly does not encapsulate everything that's going on, but we are continuing to support reading workshop in grade 5. We've had reading workshop for many years in the elementary school, and 2 years ago we moved it to grade 5. We hope to expand it in years to come in the middle school into grades 6, 7, and 8. But there are some scheduling issues that we want to look at first, as far as taking a look at the bell schedule and how we can make best use of our time in an effort to be able to support that. Orton Gillingham, we are now on our second cohort, the first cohort of supporting and teaching our teachers reading intervention strategies through the OG program. That is a partnership with Fairleigh Dickinson University, has been incredibly successful. And we have 7 teachers involved in that program in the second cohort, in that 2-year program. Constantly exploring new course offerings, and we have some of them listed below, which I'll reference. Just a little sampling at VHS, we have we have AP Psychology and AP Macroeconomics. The macroeconomics builds on the microeconomics that we adopted last year, so that gives a nice variety for our students as well. And the SUPA courses, that's the Syracuse University Project Advancement. That program that we have this year, Dr. Meyer's actually teaching it. It's Gender and Literary Texts. Has a really great enrollment this year, and we're really excited to see what that looks like in its first year. At the preschool level, we adopted a new curriculum, a more robust curriculum to support our preschool early intervention program. And we have expanded our LLD classroom, a special education classroom in the middle school, to grades 7 and 8. So that way we're able to provide that continuum. Years ago, we only had the LLD classroom up till grade 4. 2 years ago, we adopted it in grades 5 and 6. And now we've expanded it to grades 7 and 8 to meet the needs of our students who are currently in district, in the least restrictive environment. And then last but not least, all the way at the bottom, it says monthly walkthroughs. Those are visits where our administration goes into classrooms on a daily basis in an effort to do 5 or 10 minute walkthroughs to identify best practices that our teachers are implementing in the classroom, to give commendations, and then to also give some constructive feedback as to where we can continue to improve. So in addition to doing the formal evaluations, what we've decided to do 3 years ago was to start really doing these walkthroughs that are above and beyond the legislative requirements. And we find these to be extremely powerful and important because it allows for a lot of dialogue between our teachers and our administration. It allows for our teachers to receive some really relevant feedback. It allows for our administration to really understand what's going on in the classroom and to be informed as well. And allows us to just move the dial and help support our students in many ways, rather than just taking a snapshot every 3 or 4 months. On a monthly basis, our administration is in there. Last year, we increased the number of walkthroughs from the previous year by about 15% or so. And then this year, we've over 1,000, over 1,100 walkthroughs last year. And right now we are on track for hitting about 1,800 or 1,900 walkthroughs this year. So we're very proud of our administration and our teachers for that progress. On the professional learning front, our action committees are engaged in much work and research as to what the best practices and programs will be in order to meet the needs of our district based on the feedback that we've received. We are very proud of the fact that this goes going back to last year, we were able to really ramp up our training and our support for our paraprofessionals in the district, starting with the summer 3-day workshop in order to make sure that they had all the skills necessary in order to be successful meeting with their students. The next generation science standards, all based around inquiry, have been adopted for some time now, and providing the professional development and training for our staff is critically important in order to support that initiative. Reading, writing workshop, professional development, and book clubs continue to be making progress. GCN training is mandatory training that our teachers go through, all staff actually goes through each and every year. And the purpose of that is to make sure that all the mandated and legislative trainings around dyslexia, HIV, suicide prevention, affirmative action, a number of different topics are met. There's about 7 hours of training that all of our staff do on an annual basis. The conflict resolution training is the support for training for our teachers in 5th grade this year. And those teachers in 5th grade who will adopt the conflict resolution program that Dr. Lanzo and our elementary principals have at the elementary school, they will take that as an initiative this year in grade 5 to support our students. PBSIS is the Positive Behavior Supports in Schools. This is one of the initiatives that came out of our action committees. This goal is centered around being very positive and creating a more nurturing and positive environment in our schools. You actually saw a little bit of that tonight. The Kindness Awards is actually part of the PBSIS process in an effort to start recognizing the wonderful things that are already existing in the building and to promote those things and to put those on the radar for people. And then Frontline RTI 504. RTI stands for Response to Intervention, and that's another program. It's really a process in order to make sure that there are tiers of intervention, so that way, as a school, we can respond appropriately as quickly as possible when students need that extra support. So starting to educate our teams in each of our schools, specifically our INRS, our Intervention and Referral Services teams, around the RTI process. And Frontline is a company that actually has a software that we are able to utilize that allows us to track data and to utilize that to inform our decision making. And then providing upgraded facilities and technology, we continue to look at our wireless coverage, upgrade our wireless bandwidth, expand our Chromebook initiative, and refine our ASOP staff attendance system within our district. So that way we can keep moving technology forward. And I could have put on here the RTI process as well, because the Frontline program is a new technology. So many of these will actually fit into multiple categories. So that gave us a little bit of an overview of what we did in the district last year. In setting our goals as a Board of Education for next year, we have 2 goals that we try to set each year that are meaningful and that are realistic and attainable. So the 2 goals that we have for the following year, as you heard me mention earlier, the strategic plan, we're in the final year. From 2013 to 2018 is the current existing plan. So we have to get a new plan in place that will go for the next 5 years, from 2018 to 2022, 2023. And at that point, what we need to do is we need to engage our stakeholders. Last time, I believe we had, this was prior to me being here as superintendent, but the Board of Education had nearly 100 community stakeholders involved in the development and the refinement of the strategic plan. So in the next couple of weeks, I will be sending out a letter to the community with a sign-up process. If people are interested in participating in the new strategic plan, there will be an opportunity for them to submit their information, their name, their contact information, and then based on the action committees, and we want to really get a good heterogeneous mixture of community stakeholders, we will take a look at all of the respondents and we'll make decisions as to who those people we feel will be the best fit on each of our teams. So one of the major goals for the Board of Education for the 17-18 year is let's go out and develop our new strategic plan. I have been in touch with Centennium Consulting, who is Judy Ferguson, who has previously done the 2 previous strategic plans here in Verona with much success, and she was very well received by the committee. And we've engaged her in the process as well, so she will be helping us with the facilitation of that new strategic plan. And the second board goal for this year is taking a look at our current plan, as we do each and every year. This is a recurring goal that we have as a Board of Education, and this is what really drives what we do on a day in and a day out basis administratively. So the board's governance really sets this goal as, hey, let's make sure that all of the strategies in there with those goals and objectives, that we do whatever we can as a Board of Education to go and support that. So that way the administration and the teachers, the faculty and the staff can go out and make those best decisions and be able to support those 2 goals. And I do know that coming up, and that's the end of this presentation, and I'll answer any questions or if anybody on the board would like to have any commentary on it, but I do know that our next Board of Education meeting is going to be on October 30th. And that's a joint meeting that will take place here with the Verona Township Council and the Township Manager. And as part of that, on our end, our presentation annually with the Joint Council is to give an overview of what's going on. A little Cliff Notes version of what we're doing that we're very proud of here in Verona and how it's going. And then obviously the dialogue that we have in the joint meeting with the council is how can we best support one another in order for both entities to be successful. So I'll turn it over to the board if anyone has any commentary or any questions to discuss.
What I'm going to throw out as a comment is going on the 2 subcommittees, the mental health and the code of conduct. We met today for the kickoff meeting for this new quarter, and one of the things that Mr. Miller is asking for is more community member input, because it sort of dwindled down, and it really shouldn't be school-driven. We really want it collaborative with the community. So anybody out there in the YouTube world, if you're interested, contact us, and we would definitely welcome more parent and community member input on that.
That's great.
Which committee was this?
This was, they kicked it off with a joint one, so it was the code of conduct, respect, and the mental health suicide awareness.
Right, could maybe spend a minute and just describe what their agenda is, to help
Yeah.
people decide that they should participate in it?
Yeah, so their agenda is really to have a very public, open conversation, bringing about more openness to mental health issues, mental health awareness. We did have 2 suicides in Verona over the past 18 months, and we're looking to not stigmatize it. So these committees formed along with the culture and code of conduct and respect, because we're looking for ways to involve the biggest amount of people to have a very open conversation and dialogue, and it's driving a lot of the things that Dr. Dionisio spoke about in his presentation on the kind of support that we saw here tonight, just developing a really more supportive and interactive community. So anybody with any type of interest in that would definitely be welcomed into the group.
Dr. Dionisio, this is terrific. 2 things. One is for the presentation with the township at the next meeting. If you can include in there, maybe you can make it part of the handout, the 1-page current strategic plan summary. I was looking around for that. Typically have them in every one. I thought that it's not there anymore. But that would give them some good baseline construct on what the strategic plan is all about. If you look at that, and then you can correlate that to much of what you have in the presentation.
Sure.
Achievements.
Absolutely, we could do
The
that.
second thing is as it pertains to, please stop Ferguson. When do we anticipate having her rescue yourself, but we need to get some advertising out of this is what we're looking to do.
So the letter's going out, right?
That's right. So within the next few weeks, I'm working on a draft letter now that will go out to the community, and it will have a hyperlink to it. So if anyone is interested in participating, then they can just click on that link, submit their name and contact information, email, phone number, and it will all be on our end, so that way we can reach out to those people as we create the committee.
Right, when do we anticipate the committee going
Active is probably going to be sometime in December, and then that way we'll work together December, January, February, March, April, so that way we can have a new plan in place by late spring of 18.
And for all those folks out there and you know, for the board members, I was once a stakeholder in I think 2012 when we were doing the strategic action plan. At that time, I still remember sitting there in the finance committee room with Mr. Quattrochi, talking about that with the group, and it felt good as a parent and as a resident to be able to provide feedback that was actually put into the strategic plan. So for folks who want to be involved and participate and provide feedback to the board and how to help them make the strategic plan, we need you to get involved. So look for that letter and look forward to getting you guys involved.
I'm going to echo, Mr. Day's statement, because I too was part of the strategic plan back then, and I think that's how the climate survey actually came to be from the culture committee. So.
Yeah, I don't want to, not to steal any from Mr. Day and Ms. Bernardino's thunder here, but it's not a requirement that you serve on the committee ultimately.
I was going to say, and Ms. Fresky did as well, but that's just a,
Well, we don't want to deter.
it's not a requirement, but it's definitely.
No, not at all. But all kidding aside, the important thing about how we view this committee is best summarized this way. When we did we've only done, in the last 10 years, we've done 2 5-year plans, right? We never had a strategic plan that anybody could point to or reference prior to that. They've been very successful tools for the board and community to help stay focused. That said, if I reflect on the last one that we did, the taglines were, it was over 110 people that participated in it, and then it goes on from there, the number of hours spent and all the rest. But the important point is that to the board and the administrative leadership here, it is very, very important that the strategic plan is an assemblage of ideas and focus and objectives that are community-wide. It's not a Board of Education directed exercise. It's meant to be a community inclusive thought process and planning process. So it will include parents, some students, board members, town council members, township managers, administrators, teachers, police, and amongst some others. So the goal is to make it as well-rounded as possible and all-encompassing as possible. So this is not a committee of 5 people. If you reflect on last time, it was about 100 plus people that participated in some meaningful shape or form. That's not counting the folks that maybe came to our meetings and faded away. And that's what we're looking for again.
And I think using the word meaningful form is really important for the public to hear, because everybody, like Mr. Day said, everybody's input was heard, all ideas were written down, and everything was incorporated. It wasn't like you showed up and it was a dog and pony show. It was real work, and it had a great outcome.
It's a great opportunity also to be able to get some divergent viewpoints, especially since, when you do this kind of work, sometimes it's very easy to fall into tunnel vision, right? We're focused on what we've got to do every day, and we already have our strategic plan. It's like, okay, let's go do the good work that we're talking about now, and let's deliver on that. But it's good to get feedback and maybe hearing some perspective of things that perhaps aren't falling on our radar. That's number one. The second part is from talking to Dr. Ferguson, and she had mentioned, since this is Verona's 3rd iteration of the strategic plan, she believes that the time commitment for community stakeholders would be about 2 full days. So that's important for people to know as well, that would be 2 different full days of getting that feedback. And then obviously there's going to be some action committee work as well. And then all that feedback will come back to the Board of Education and to the full stakeholder team in order to see what the new strategic plan will look like before it's presented to the board.
And I think we provide some snacks. So it's not all working up.
I remember snacks.
They don't remember snacks, but we'll make sure we have snacks. We'll make sure.
we had a meeting here.
Bring out a food truck, yeah, bring out a food truck.
We're sitting.
A food truck, that's a good idea. Good, thank you very much, everyone.
Okay, we have, if you have any juice left in you, we have superintendent's report.
Sure.
It's a one-man show.
So, actually, the only thing that I have on here that I just wanted to recognize is the hard work, dedication, and the efforts of the conference SCA. Specifically, Mrs. Breitenbach, Mrs. DeMars, and Mrs. Garthwaite, who really were the three people who came up with the idea. They presented it to me, we talked about it. Worked very closely with Mr. Merkler, the Verona Township, specifically Stephen Neal, Matt Cavallo at the township in helping us bring this to fruition. All of the SCAs and all the schools with the volunteers, they made it a great event. And not only did they raise money, but the spirit of it was, let's pick a day, and we could bring the community together, and there's good fun for everyone. There's food, there's socializing, they had the bouncy houses for the kids, the Touch a Truck Festival. Can't thank the supporters that contributed, the sponsors in town enough financially, and just all around wonderful partnership. Chuck Molinaro and the crew at the township that set up the stage and helped us out so much. Our custodial and maintenance staff that really helped set up and break down. So it was a wonderful event. It was year one and it was so successful. So we're looking forward to much success in years to come. And big thank you to our SCA. And that's what makes Verona very special, everybody coming together and helping us out. So that's it for the superintendent report.
It was not successful, the weather wasn't even.
That's
It was dicey.
exactly.
All right, we have some committee reports tonight. I think we have everything except finance. Education committee?
Yeah, so not to reiterate the doctor's meeting, so you covered a lot of, in the goals and in your presentation, what Mr. Miller spoke about on the education committee. One of the things that wasn't covered, and I cannot speak eloquently on it, so maybe you could jump in, is the Japanese math lessons that we're starting to move towards.
And I wish that I could speak so eloquently to it as well. So I'm not going to try to sugarcoat it and pretend. I'm not going to do a tap dance. So I think that's best reserved for Mr. Miller's next presentation, which is going to be here shortly. He's going to do a CIA update. I did not have an opportunity to go and sit in on that. I have had an opportunity to sit in on the math lesson study, which has been wonderful. We just had that professional learning experience for our K-5 teachers, and it's been really rigorous professional learning with the consultant, with our staff, but it's been very well received. And we're looking forward to what our teachers are going to be able to do with that as far as math instruction goes in the elementary and in grade 5.
Yeah, and since I brought it up, I will just put out there if anybody wants to look further into it. The person's name is Bill Jackson, who studied this Japanese lesson way of doing math, and it's inquiry based.
Mm-hmm.
So Mrs. Bernardino might be able to speak a little better, but that's what Mr. Miller spent quite a bit of time, and I'm embarrassed that I'm not able to speak more
I
eloquently.
could touch on it quickly, but I could talk about it for hours, but I won't because it's what I do. They did visit my school as well, and it is just a way of teaching math, let's say, through inquiry-based work, where children are engaging with material and developing their own ideas and kind of coming up with the objectives on their own rather than direct instruction. So we have been modeling that, and I know they did visit with me, and I am part of the curriculum crew, but I did not have the pleasure of seeing some of the lessons that they did through lesson study. But it's definitely I would consider a good way of teaching and learning math because it's very hands-on, inquiry-based, and gives you conceptual understanding.
And it shifts away from rote memorization and algorithmic math. It's similar to our science program, but for math. The other day at Lanning Avenue School, I was there with Mr. Stevenson and Mr. Miller, and if I could recall, Mr. Cunningham from grade 5, Mrs. Kunkel were there. In elementary schools, Mrs. Gisario, Mr. Samples, Mr. Wable was there, and they were really struggling with the instruction and, I'm sorry? And the rich tasks, and really taking a look at multiple ways to teach students and really thinking through, and they spent hours, I mean several hours working with Mr. Jackson. Then after that, taking what they learned from him and then trying to develop one lesson plan that would take about 45 minutes. It probably took them several hours and they weren't even done. So it's a process that takes time, it's overwhelming, but you really get to see the benefit of teaching in this manner because students have no choice but to really engage in math instruction and understanding math in different ways, as Ms. Bernardino mentioned earlier.
Allowing different access points, and instead of giving a formula, they kind of come to the generalization of the formula at the end of the lesson. It's, you know what, a lot of people say that.
Yeah. The other thing, I believe tomorrow, October 11th, correct? We have the
Yes.
SAT testing, so
Yes.
the seniors at the high school have a delayed opening, and the 9th through the 11th graders are going to have the PSAT testing. He also spoke about, and this goes back to the week of respect and the kindness. Ms. McNeil shared with us today that on October 19th, there is going to be a kindness campaign presentation down at the middle school, and it is focused on girl-on-girl bullying. And I believe a letter went out to the parents of the middle school so they would have a link to what exactly that encompassed. So that's happening on the 19th.
And during that assembly, as well as the assemblies happening with, we're fortunate enough to get the 2 producers from the kindness campaign
Yes.
who are coming in.
And we're actually doing it.
All of the our female students at HW will be hearing that presentation, participating. And Scott Chesney will be meeting with our boys and doing a presentation specific to our boys around positive role modeling behavior. So it's all around the work that's come out of our action committees.
That's just great. And then, Mr. Moriello's portion of the meeting, he spoke towards, let me go back to nope, that's athletic, I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. Mr. Moriello was speaking about the professional staff development. We have, Ms. Convoy at Lanning who will be attending a autism conference. And Ms. Shapiro up at the high school is going to participate in a mindfulness-based stress reduction conference. And that was it on that. And do you want me to just go, John, right into athletics?
Please.
Does anybody have any other questions? Keep rolling. All right, athletics was pretty sweet and to the point. The fall season has begun. It's in full swing. The teams seem to be doing well so far. Tonight in our resolutions, we are going to be passing the resolution with the swim team contract. And we are renewing the hockey, our agreement with the hockey contract. And then there are 4 upcoming field trips that are being approved. An 8th grade student council trip, a high school French club event where they'll be going to a theater presentation in Manhattan, a high school AP computer science that is going to be, it's a computer science fair that's taking place up in Harvard, up in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and a spring music trip, and they'll be down in Virginia. And we are approving the winter coaches and a couple of volunteer coaches. And our policies are updated, and that was pretty short and sweet.
I just have a comment on athletics and really in general about all the activities. I periodically drive by the school, I'm picking up my son, and I'm telling you, this place is a buzz after school until 6, 7 o'clock at night or even later. I mean, between all the fields being used by multiple teams, and then you go, you see the band, they're either somewhere, either in the band room, you can hear them playing, or sometimes they're on the field. And then you have the gym being used, and you have other activities going on at night. I'm just telling you, this place is a world. And I always see the administrators running around, the coaches running around, but I have to say, it seems to be a well-oiled machine, just a lot of people to move the parts. So what I'm saying is, it's something to get into use.
I have a question.
Um,
Don't make it hard.
I'll try. I know everyone's trying. A couple of the field trips look like one in Massachusetts and one in Virginia. Are those overnight
They are
trips?
overnight
They're both
trips.
overnight trips?
Correct.
So then my next question is, how are chaperones chosen?
Chaperones are chosen based on whoever the parent volunteers are for those events, and that's based on whoever's running the event. And then that usually gets run with the principal as to who those parents are going to be.
So the principals kind of have the lead in.
Just want to mention quickly that the Verona Festival of Bands is this Saturday.
How many bands went? 14 or 15?
13 bands.
13.
That was before 14, we had some back out last minute. But band goes
Still a big number.
First band steps off at 4:30. We're also going to have 7 food trucks there. So if you enjoyed the food truck festival last weekend, come on back because 7 will be returning. And you can just eat if you like. You don't have to go into the festival.
Eat and listen to good music.
Eat and listen to
And I
music.
think
What
our
time do you
band goes
start?
on about 8:30.
About 8:30.
Starts at 4:30.
Yeah.
Our band doesn't compete, right?
Our bands, no, exactly, we're not working on it.
How many bands? How many bands did we have last year?
Yeah. 4.
Four, right?
So I think the all-time high we've ever had here was 6, 8.
No, if you remember, John, back in the, like 2012 was last year that we had a really big one, and then now we're beyond a little bit of band at that point. We had like, we got 12 then, and this will be bigger than that.
But that was only 1 year. Like, how many?
I think it was kind of big, I mean, I don't
You know what it
remember
is,
that.
we have that turf field, so I want to come back here now.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
Well, it's also worth mentioning that the band director, Mr. Lynch, it was very successful in setting up a new association of marching bands. Typically, the marching bands have been associated with U.S. bands. Mr. Lynch really hasn't been satisfied with the judging criteria they use. They were more focused on maybe the glitzy songs, like the difficulty of the composition and the education that goes into it. So he gets together with the association that puts on the annual festival for the orchestra band, and said we should do a marching band show as well. So he really said, okay, Mr. Lynch, you do that, and he give him a lot of credit. He ran with that, and he set this up. So this will be actually the first year of that, and the inaugural event. So it's pretty exciting. So a lot of bands that have not typically we've seen would really subscribe to that philosophy of music education, not just putting on maybe like a college marching band show. We'll be doing their thing as well. And we have everything from the size between 2 up to 5, and even an open band, which means very, very large. So we're really, so it's gonna be a great show. We love that.
So the reason why I was questioning about the number of bands is because this is the premier fundraising event.
It is.
For the band program
It is.
and the parents association around it. So, in prior years, you had as little as no event. You
Yeah.
had 3 or 4 bands, and some of them, maybe it was a few more than that.
No,
To have-
it's about 3 or 4 many years.
But then, right, but to have 13 bands is a big deal. So it is it's an all-day event when you get down to it. It kicks off at
4:30. We're starting the evening event. but
and
it's
it goes
great
at 8,
night.
9 o'clock at night. So even if folks can just come even for a little bit, enjoy the band festival, enjoy the music, there'll be food there, there'll be concessions there and all that.
The weather looks
And
great.
if you can make it for the event, that's great, and if not, come for a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, buildings and grounds?
We met really briefly last Friday afternoon over the phone. Just a really quick update, we almost had that meeting to see back on our normal schedule, is that happy to report that our punch list items with our foreman have been completed. We got the fill in around the asphalt on the track, and as well, we had the air handler taken care of and balancing with the 2 systems, VHS and HW. So those are resolved, and then we'll be, I need to put it as there's left to do, but it will be this plan, but there'll be I guess the only thing left is some landscaping that we can place next month, for this month. But we're really happy to get those other projects started.
That's a good segue into community resources.
actually, Community Resources was planning on meeting, and we did not meet, so we will reschedule that meeting, and we'll do that within the next week.
Give a shout out to Ms. Studo for Brookdale's 90th. And thank her for inviting us. We got to go, and the band was there, and the cheerleaders were there, and the kids all put on, each grade, they put on a little performance for the celebration. I know Forest Ave's 90th anniversary is coming up this month as well, in a couple of weeks. They do have a high
Mr.
bar.
Monticelli was there.
He was there. He was taking notes.
Yes, he was.
Taking notes.
I report to the other side.
So he was.
And then I'm just gonna add quick background to buildings and grounds, that Mr. Day and I are set up with, Mr. Trouse for the 16th. He's gonna take us on
Good.
the tour of the building, so.
Good.
Something of upgrades and,
Yeah, because we had mentioned that when he did his presentation, so we connected with him.
It's one thing to see pictures, it's another thing when you actually get
Yeah,
into the
and so much
space.
has been done, so.
So it's good to get in there. It's great.
We're going on the 16th around noon, Monday. Yeah, I'll send you the email with the time and all that.
Back to what Mrs. Bernardino said about the Brookdale celebration, and then Forest is coming up this month. Next year's Lanning's 100th
Wow.
celebration. And now what's interesting is Virginia Citrano contacted me today to ask me about some information about the schools. I mean, one thing that I had was the 2005 referendum flyer that told you the years in which the schools were built. Beyond that, the schools don't really have a lot of information. Well, what we do have is minutes dating back to the 1800s.
Wow.
So I was able to find them, and I gave them to Virginia, so she's reading through them for there were dates in there when they purchased the property and when they were building the school. So I saw Mr. Freud today, and he said, I said, I hear that you're celebrating the 100th next year. He goes, I don't have anything on the school. I said, I have the minutes, like we could formulate
Put
something
something together.
But just taking one step further, so one of the things that I was gonna bring up to the finance committee, if I could have some of these minute books rebound, because they're falling apart. And like I said, they date back to the 1800s.
They look like they're 100 years old, right?
It's amazing.
They're so
It's
cool.
really, I mean, they were handwritten, and then, in the early 1920s, they were typed, so it was kind of neat.
Yeah.
Amazing how, when you read some of the notes and resolutions in there, how little has changed in education.
Yeah.
Some of them
I just
are
wrote a
fine,
paper on
but
that.
most-
Right, so, that's it.
Okay, so before we go into resolutions, just a couple of things, as Ms. Fresky pointed out, we do have two resolutions with the annual agreement with the hockey program, which is partially paid to play, and now we're introducing the high school swim team, which had some focus some months back, and that's now been finalized, and that agreement is for resolution tonight. And then we also have resolutions for two contracts. Dr. Dionisio, we negotiated a new contract with Dr. Dionisio. He's got 2 years on, a year and a half on the remaining contract, and we took this opportunity to put certainty for the district and for Dr. Dionisio for 5 years going forward, as well as the same for Mr. Moriello. It's important to note that both gentlemen, when we hired into the seats, were first time in the role. Mr. Moriello, first time as a Director of Special Services, and Dr. Dionisio, of course, first time as a superintendent. And when we hire at that level, it's incumbent on the board to ensure as much continuity where it makes sense for the district as possible, and to remain competitive in terms of salary and contract. We believe we've done that, and we've come to good terms with both gentlemen, and it also helps the board to best manage its finances, as we did with the paraprofessionals when we did not want to agree to a year and a half or 2-year deal. We wanted to agree to a 5-year contract to give as much certainty not only to the staff in terms of where the salaries are going and commitment for the board, but it also helps the board manage through its finances with a longer term view rather than year-to-year sort of hustle and bustle of the budget that usually brings disruption more than anything else. So we have those resolutions for tonight along with some other personnel resolutions.
I just want to clarify, so Mr. Morello's is just 1 year, correct?
Yes. Yeah, so those contracts are always 1-year terms.
Yeah.
The administrators are always 1-year terms. So his is a course correction on salary.
Yes.
Before you get to resolutions, I like discussion items, can I throw something up there?
Too late, you already did it, so go ahead.
I know it's a little bit late in the game, but I know all of the schools have now had their back to school nights. So I just wanted to thank all the staff and teachers, because I know it's a lot of work going into back to school night so soon in the year, and so they're all done now, right? So I just wanted to say thank you to staff and teachers.
And then, John, I just have a question that was brought up to me, and I know we've discussed it as a group. Can you differentiate again, or can we work on the difference between a regular public meeting and a work session meeting?
Yeah, so
There's always confusion.
so its intention is that a work session is where we would do the beef of the superintendent's update and our committee reports. It's where we would hear in confidential our HIV reports. And it's all meant to be, as much as possible, preparation for the business meeting, which is the subsequent meeting, where you'll have resolutions on all of those, but you won't rehash our committee updates and presentations, etc. Okay? It's meant to be light on, a work session is meant to be light on resolutions, where the business session is meant to be resolution focused. That's the nirvana intention. Okay, that's where the lamb sleeps with the lion and everybody's happy, right? The reality is that, quite honestly, a lot of our committee, because of personal schedules, a lot of our committee meetings sometimes don't always happen in time for the work session. They happen instead in time for the business session. So now we're having a business update, a business meeting that has to include in it an update on a committee that didn't meet in time for the first, right? That's one. Number two, Ms. Mondino and Dr. Dionisio will tell you, it is usually the case that there is some emergent resolution that has to be passed, whether it be for staff travel or some such thing, that shouldn't wait until the next meeting. So now I've got a work session that's meant to be light depending on the resolutions, and now it's got some resolutions in it. So for example, tonight we have these appointments on paraprofessionals that are taking seats and have to have the salaries. But, so the intention is to do presentations, the intention is to do committee updates and the like, and the work session lighter on resolutions. Business meeting is meant to be heavy on resolutions, light on presentation material. And then finally, because there's so many presentations that we as a board have agreed are important to have, whether they be student updates, whether they be like we did tonight around student of the month, or departmental updates, like Mr. Miller comes in and does a curriculum instruction, an assessment update, whatever those may be. Because there's so many of them, we tend to have one at just about every board meeting of some form or another. There just aren't enough board meetings in a year to do justice to all of those moments that delve into something with lots and lots of detail. And then finally, remember that certain months, like December, there is but one meeting, right? Certain other months, like in March or April, the meetings are decidedly focused on budget, leaving little time for some of the other dialogue. So you mix all that into the sauce, you got 10 months, usually 2 meetings a month. The first meeting of the year is late August, then you have September, school started. It gets very difficult to make it as absolute as it would appear by definition.
Yeah, just, it comes up periodically, and
Yeah.
I'm never quite 100%
So we used to.
sure how to answer that.
So we used to have, we used to try to be adherent to what the work session was and what the business session was, and then we found out that it got very murky because of all the things I just said. So then we did away with it and said, this is silly, we're pretending that we're having one type of meeting or another, and every meeting was and then we did away with that, and then the problem that came out of that was we found ourselves oftentimes in meetings with resolutions that we hadn't vetted ahead of time. And a lot of them required, or should be, for the form, vetted ahead of time. And if resolutions are all categorized by committee, and committees are supposed to meet and understand what those are before they get to the full board, then we should just do it as a work session and a business session.
Can we flag on the agenda if it's a work session or a business session, just so we know?
It used to be on there until you just pointed out that it's not.
I looked at a couple of agendas and I didn't.
Usually the first meeting of the month is the work session, the second meeting of the month is the business session.
Sometimes it, like you said, it runs out, sometimes it's good to
Yeah.
spell that.
And then lastly, I'm just going to throw out very quickly, mandatory training that all the board members have, and then they put out opportunities for board members for additional things. So I went to one last Friday. It was up in Morristown, and it was called Historical Perspectives and Leadership. And it's just so cool. They do a really good job at presenting information, giving professional development for board members. And this one in particular took us on a tour of Washington's headquarters, Jockey Hollow. And then they did a side-by-side comparison of the Army then fighting the Revolution and what kind of hardships and everything, all these obstacles that they faced, and equated it to modern day school boards and schools and all the obstacles you face and the shortage of supplies and how do you keep everybody motivated and going forward. And they're just really valuable things. And I happen to work part-time in my real world, so I have free time to go to some of these events. And they're just really good. I find them very valuable, and it helps me. And I know Mr. Day and, you know, Michelle sometimes tries to come at night. They have county meetings. So there's a lot of things that go on besides our 2 meetings a month. The way the teachers get so much professional development, there's opportunities for us to learn about ethics and finance and governance. So there's always a lot going on. So it's really interesting. And this one was a really nice one. And it's so beautiful on Friday. And they also have the delegation coming up in November, so I'm going to try and go to that. So I'll talk to you.
Actually, I know Mr. Yunus used to be a delegate. So
Yeah,
you're a
Cheryl,
delegate.
Mrs. Garcia put me down with that.
This is Nardino delegated.
That's
So he's requested to be the delegate.
You're welcome. That's coming up November 18th, it's a Saturday, so I think I can go to that. I have to just check my schedule and I will report back.
She's an empty nester.
We appreciate you going.
All my free time.
I love your events.
For the team.
You're welcome.
Let's do our resolutions.
Okay, resolve that the board approve resolutions number 1 through 10, and addendum resolution number 1.
So,
Oh, and I just wanted to point out that that addendum resolution is for the kindergarten aide at Brookdale Avenue School, and she should be starting next week, so long as all of her people is approved by the state.
so move.
Second.
So moved by Mr. Elliott, seconded by Ms. Bernardino, Mr. Day. Any questions? All right, let's go roll.
Mr. Day?
Yes.
Mrs. Bernardino?
Yes.
Mr. Elliott?
Aye.
Mrs. Fresky?
Yes.
Mr. Quattro?
Aye. Okay, that's the, that concludes our working session meeting tonight. Any questions or comments?
My name is Natalie White, at 49 Gould Street. I just wanted to clarify, so the Town Council Board of Ed meeting that's happening at the end of the month, can you just touch base on, like, is that like an open discussion between the two
Yeah.
groups, or is it a presentation?
It's a little bit both.
Okay.
So so there is some, I'm gonna say this very carefully, so please don't read any negativity or anything like that, it's not that at all.
Okay.
But there is some proper form or good form set of guidelines that the township gets from the state. And one of those is that you ought to meet once a year between Board of Ed and Town Council in a public setting.
Mhm.
Now, the reason why I point that out is because the Board of Ed and the Town Council operate through the superintendency and our business manager, Ms. Nardino, and the township manager.
Okay.
And that happens, that's almost daily interaction. Above that, there's occasional interaction between board members and town council members. And depending on the topics at hand, there's sometimes subcommittee meetings where we'll have 2 board members and 2 council members and Mr. Dinicio and the township manager meet on various topics as they come up. And we usually report on those when they happen. But it is good form to get both bodies together in front of the public. Now, the challenge is that nowhere in the good form guidelines does it say what you're supposed to speak about. So what we've done in the past is we've used the opportunity for the board to, because the timing of it always seems to be either setting up our new goals and reflectives, or talking about our budget and our end-of-year aspirations for the spring or the fall. So when we meet, we'll have some pleasantries and all that, and we're gonna use the presentation that Dr. Dionisio went through tonight as a forum for discussion. It may be a very one-sided discussion. It'll be here's sort of the highlights and lowlights of what we have going on, things that are going well, and things that maybe we can improve on. I don't believe that we'll get into the sort of level of detail that Dr. Dionisio got into tonight, because the topic would be a bit alien to the council. You know, we don't look at this stuff all the time, so. But there are some highlights in there that would resonate with anyone. And then, of course, always great to listen to what the town council's perspectives are. And then from there, it usually turns into a bit of questions and answers and exchange of ideas. You know, gee, you know, we think we have some money related to X. We're going to improve certain roads. How about if we did the road around XYZ school building and we can replace lights? Does that fit anywhere in our schedule? Those sorts of things.
And you meet once, this is a one-time?
Yeah, you know, well, that's the thing. So the good form guidelines say you should do it at least once a year. We've done it about once a year, every 15 months. The amount of challenge to schedule what date the board and the council can all meet together is sort of, Ms. Kresge wrestled this one to the ground for us. This meeting that we're having at the next meeting was originally planned for as far back as May, I think it was, and it's been put off and scheduled, and because this date that all the way until October, so it takes a lot to put together. Yeah, but the intention is to at least do it once in open forum and make it meaningful dialogue, not, hey, you guys are great, you guys are great, broke each other's backs. It's not that. It's meant to be meaningful. A little bit of that. Okay, so that concludes our work session meeting for tonight. We have our next meeting, as we just said, Monday, October 30th. It is a Monday. That coincides with, I believe, the township's meeting schedule, on which they meet on Monday, we meet on Tuesdays, and it gets us to move our meeting from the Tuesday to the Monday, because Tuesday's Halloween. So we're on our turf. It's a home game for us this time. So Monday, October 30th. The board will meet in confidential session at 6, and then followed by a public meeting with the council at 7. Good night.
Good night.